first thought about writing Moments in the Shadow of Greatness Volume 1, I really didn't know how extensive the series would be. I just wanted to pay respects and homage to my mentor, Gordon Parks, for inspiring and encouraging me to have a better life, to be focused, and to give back. Never dawned on me that ultimately it would be 60 plus profiles that I would have planned to do. I just know that I'm grateful to all those people that have helped me grow as a person, as a journalist, as an author, as an artist, educator, and community advocate. I owe so much to so many people who saw a young guy that needed some direction and cared enough to try to give me a few words of wisdom so that I would be able to go forth and make a positive difference in this society. You go through life and you never really know the people you'll contact through your journey, people you'll become close with, the ones you'll even have faint memories or moments with, who turn out to be instrumental in not just your life but in society in general. And when I moved here to Louisville in 1987, I didn't realize I would become as involved in this community. I had lived in Miami and I was active there, and Los Angeles, and I was active there, and DC, and in those places I became active also. And then what I've realized over the years is they weren't happenstance. I was supposed to be where I was at those times, having the kind of influence on people that but help them change their lives. I tell you, it's just amazing. I really am grateful, because I could have easily been dead from being involved in the riots and investigative reporting and the military. You just don't know what life has in store for you and where you'll wind up. I do know that because of certain people in my life, I'm motivated to do certain things to effect change in a positive and negative way. Negative in the sense that people who are doing ill or wrong don't want me impacting what they do. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. That's just what I'm about. I'll never forget when I was temporarily placed on a prison board, and it was, I think, three white people that were on the board, and they were Republican, very conservative in nature, and they looked up and noticed there was a black person in the room, and everybody wanted to know who I was. I wasn't, I really wasn't thinking. I was somewhat brash at the time because I was doing some positive things here with the at-risk youth population and the prison system, the education system, the social services system. And so I told them, I says, well, my name's George Addison, and I'm here to impact the flow of black and brown people headed to the correctional systems. We need to make a change. Why in the world I said that? Because the looks on their faces was priceless. It's like, this Negro gotta go. You about to do what? You about to mess with our money? And sure enough, when they had their next meeting, what was so curious was they didn't want to be called racist or anything, but they brought a brother to the meeting. And I can't remember his name now, but his sole purpose was to counteract any suggestions or any votes I might want to do. And even though my stay was temporary, I immediately saw how I had already created a change. Wasn't a change I was hoping to accomplish, but it let me know that whatever change, whatever push I made, that there definitely was going to be a push or blowback as a result, because no one wants to do the right thing, especially if it impacts their wallet. So, lessons like that have helped me prepare and better advocate for all sorts of issues. I'm driving down Broadway. I live in the West End. It's been economically disadvantaged for a while, but I do remember when I got here in 1987, the West End was a nice place to be. The older African American community at the time cared for their properties and cared that their kids got a good education. They cared about being heard and making a difference on not just their immediate area, but the city in general. It amazes me as a result of drugs and gentrification, how communities are wiped out and populations switched out. It's really sad. Makes me think of the buffalo and the Indians being moved to reservations and all the other negative things that come as a result of people doing ill to other people. On any given day, you can come out here and you can see groups of black men basically making you think they're throwaways on the corners, and you see that life has passed many of these people back. And it's disheartening. It's disheartening and discouraging to the heart, to the spirit of who we are as black people in this country. You want to make a difference in a positive way. You don't want to have a legacy of destruction and death and hate. Something that people in this country of color, as well as poor folk, have been fighting forever. Discrimination, vengeance. I tell you, it's like I said, very disheartening. I worry for my people. I really do. And I'm not a millionaire. I don't know if I'll ever be a millionaire. But I was always told that I was wealthy families, our kids, our businesses, other institutions. Louisville turned out to be a pretty decent city when I got here. It was different from Miami and different from Los Angeles, and it afforded me opportunities to really do things. And I am grateful to the opportunities that the city and the people in it gave me. There was all sorts of rumors about me as it related to who I was, because I would pop up to help people, and whether it was schools or kids in their homes, families in their homes, and people would say, "Who is this man?" Because folks weren't aware or accustomed to the fact that, many folks who cared about their plight would just come out of nowhere and start helping them, start trying to address some of these issues. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people. I mean, I didn't have much as a kid, and my youth had its bleak moments. I didn't have a perfect childhood, which nobody does. And the only thing that we can do if you had a bad childhood is to strive to minimize the negative impact that it may have on your life. My mother and father were divorced or separated when I was young, and they had an estranged relationship. My mother remarried a gentleman who was the greatest guy, we thought, and he wound up having to serve over in Vietnam, and when he came back, he was a changed person. And there was a lot of negative consequences as a result of his change. He was an alcoholic. He was doing drugs. He was violent. And even though my brother and I, we endured punishments and whippings with extension cords and his fist, and by the way, he had been recognized as a boxer in the military, and he seemed to take relish in always firing off at my chest as a young kid. I remember one time he hit me when I was in the bathroom, and he knocked me all the way into the bathtub with this one shot to the middle of my chest. And this guy that we had once loved and thought would really be great and work well with my mom, he was just someone totally different that the war had messed with emotionally, psychologically. And back then, there was no such thing as help, no such thing to address PTSD, no such thing to even help our family and other military families who were in crisis. But we survived it. I mean, we used to be actually put in our room, doors shut, be 100 degrees outside and windows closed, and it'd be like a sweat box, and we'd be tortured in there if we did something wrong. We'd be in there and had to other decisions that allowed me to realize that paths of crime and violence and gangs just really wasn't for me. Wasn't meant for me. I had been raised differently in those thoughts from other people. Had made a difference in my head. Had impacted me differently. Just on this tip alone, life is funny. It really is. And there's always some curveballs that it's throwing. But you never know where you're going to wind up at the end of the day. You don't know whether or not it's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing, if you're going to be alive or if you'll be dead because of something goes on out there. I mean, there's shootings at grocery stores and carjackings and just people committing the most heinous acts against one another. And you never know if you're going to inadvertently fall into play in any of this stuff that's going on out here. So if you're fortunate by being healthy and able, there's a lot of good you can do to help people and to help try to create the type of society that's advantageous for everyone. I know one person can't save the world, but I do know one person can influence the world. And that's what we're working on doing, is trying to find little positive things that everyone can do to help impact and make a change in the right way. I guess it was natural that at some point all of the community service I was doing would eventually lead me to write Moments in the Shadow of Greatness. More so because the people that I was focused on in their own lives had done a lot of that. So I guess you say it was only natural that eventually I would evolve to talking about those kind of people, because those roles have been played and were instrumental in my life. All in all, it's a great experience. Had me really reflecting on a lot of things that I've done and how people had impacted my life. I hope it can inspire others to reflect and to take action and try to make a positive difference in this society, which surely needs it. All in all, I hope that Moments in the Shadow of Greatness get people to realize that they have more power within themselves than they actually think. And with preparation, patience, and persistence, nearly anything is achievable. Despite the prejudice, despite the lack of finances, despite all that. Because I believe in the long run, that's what we're all here for anyways, to in order for the species to survive. Civilization won't make it otherwise.
From time to time here on Kentucky on a Sunday, we like to introduce you to programs or doing some positive things in the community, especially doing something where somebody's giving back to the community, such is the case with my next guest. He's George Addison. And
volunteering is a lifestyle. It's something that you can be born into, or something that you can get a passion for to do. There's nothing like seeing someone struggle and you're able to impact that struggle to where you lessen that load for them and their families, and they're able to go on and far exceed any expectations that you have for them or they have for themselves. It's the greatest joy, and I think the greatest sense of true love that you can give to other people and share. My biggest push right now is promoting the book Moments in the Shadow of Greatness. I've had the opportunity to interview people like Muhammad Ali, Andy Young, work with Michelle and Barack Obama on volunteer efforts. My goal is to try to at least donate 50,000 copies of that book to juvenile facilities and to correctional facilities to inspire and motivate people to have a new life, have a new mindset when they're released and back into society. It's sort of like my life passion now, my life mission. You know, it's just like we talked about. I try to work with people to help them discover a way to recreate themselves, to have a second chance in life, to do things, to overcome their mistakes, their past mistakes. You know, I try not to be judgmental towards people. And I think most people that I come in contact with understand that I'm sincere about my efforts in helping them achieve the things they're trying to achieve. And if anything, hopefully that will be my legacy, is the fact that people know that I never judged them. I was always willing to go the extra distance to help them, and that I always held high expectations for them to reach their dreams.
It's an interesting opportunity that the chance that people have to work with kids to make a positive image in their lives.
First, I'd like to take this moment to thank WLKY and the Foundation for recognizing me for this year's 2021 Bell Awards. Often I do things in the community and I don't look for any return or any reward. Life's benefits are usually earned at the expense of those who give to you. So I appreciate the fact that my family, Brenda, Lindsay, Karen, Aaron, Philip, Ryan, Stevie, Raven, Tina, the Baldwins, they're all responsible for me doing any good work that I do. I'm inspired by young people like Eric Burse, like Leonard Davis Jr., like Marlon Guest. And I'm encouraged by friends like Antoinette Houston, Chandra Stroud, Michelle Jones Brown, Shay Woolfolk, and so many others to keep going in the struggle and the fight. I don't believe anyone's life belongs to them, basically, but I believe that it belongs to everyone. We're all supposed to be here to help each other, to service one another, to share love, respect, and understanding. Although we're not perfect, I think we need to all pledge ourselves to at least try. I'm so humbled by this reward, and I want to thank Republic Bank as well, and others who contributed to this for myself and the remaining recipients. Thank you very much.